Alright, I'm going to try and make a quick video about how to rust-proof a Festiva so you don't lose it to rust, since the engines last longer than the bodies, it seems. What you want is a wax or an oil-based rust preventative like this, rather than the rubberized rocker guard or whatever. Stuff like this just seals moisture in and rust. Anywhere there is rust, there's moisture behind. If you seal it, it just keeps going on behind, and it'll keep rusting like this behind your paint or behind the rock guard. So what you want is this oil, which removes the water and protects water from getting into the metal again. And you need to clean your whole car. Just pressure wash it, dry it, jack it up in somewhere pressure wash underneath. Then here you can kind of see the areas where it does rust around the wheel wells like this. This point here where that bolt went through, the rocker panel below, that gets rusty. Bottom of the doors get rusty. The back hatch, you're applying this oil on the inside, so you want to go behind wherever this is. So spots like that around this wiper arm, you want to make sure the paint is good where it goes through. And you get holes like that. Bottom of any doors, like this seam here, you should apply it there and make sure that stays clean. And same thing on this side, like these are the points where these cars rust. The rocker panels down there. So what I did with my new Festiva is I cleaned the whole inside. I took a cloth, wiped all the dirt out, because if you spray this oil just over dirt, it doesn't do quite as much. When water gets inside, it makes mud and all the dust you got in there, and it just stays wet for a long time. So I wiped everything out, but you can see these drain holes down here. You can access them from underneath. Make sure they stay clean. If they plug up, water stays in your doors and in your panels. They always need to be kept clear. But you can just spray the rock guard in under here, and through this access hole right here, you just pop that plug out, and you can coat your doors inside. It's mostly just the bottom you need. That's where it rusts. And I would apply a little bit right down here. You can see how the bottom of the door, the skin is rusty. You'll want a little bit of oil there too. And then for the rocker panel to get in there, if you want to clean it, you can. There's one, you can't see it, there's an access hole right here. You pop that plug off, spray in there. It's easy enough. You pop this trim off. There's holes here you can spray in. And you pull this back, and there's all these access holes here. You spray your wax oil, rust proofer in those holes. They're back here as well. And the rocker panels, I think, are what needs the most. They really get rusty. And in the wheel well, you want to clean in behind really well and just coat that with oil again, not with the rubberized stuff. You want it just with the oil inside, and you'll have to probably reapply it once a year in areas like this where it really rubs off or gets sprayed off. Then you can't get all the way in behind here in the wheel well. That's not really where the rust comes from. It comes from inside. So if you can take that interior panel out, you can get, you can't see that very well, but you can get in back here and spray everything. And that's what you want to do. It's not too hard to pop those panels off. Even just with the back ones off, you can get, or your tail lights out, let's say, you can get your hands in here and spray a fair ways back in there. You do not want to fill this with foam. I thought that was a good idea at one point. But what that does is it keeps water sitting in here, and it seals in the rust, and it just keeps rusting underneath. This actually made the rust go faster. There's drain holes in here and down here, I believe, that you want to keep clear. So take like a wire or a pin, find them, and poke it through those drain holes, because you need to keep them clear. And then spray down here with that wax oil, and in here and back there. Some people get rust around these seams like this, you might want to spray a little bit of wax oil on there. But you want a lot in here, but make sure those drain holes stay clear. Another problem, I don't really know what the best solution is for this, is if you drive where there's snow. Your feet are always wet when you get in the car. You end up soaking this carpet and it never dries out and ends up rusting everything in here. So I'm not sure if probably the rubberized rock guard on top of this to completely seal it would be best. But you'd want to come all the way up the footrail and all the way up that center and back to here to really seal it all. Put it on nice and thick, but you can kind of see how it's rusted all the way up to here. That's all rust. So if you just use the wax oil, spray all that, again get in those holes to the rocker panel. Then you'll want to do underneath the car, and just the tires are flat on this one and it's kind of low to the ground, so I'll just go to my other car here. So you can see a little bit better in there. Back in there somewhere there's a drain hole down along that pinch weld. Just make sure that's clean, and just you can see how it's greasy from that wax oil, and it's supposed to stay on there and keep the water from staying in there. The other point that really rusts on these cars is the rear rebar. So it's a lot of work to get at, but you kind of want it if you ever get in an accident, but they rust right out. Then I sprayed the entire underside of my car. These sort of frame rails, what you want to do is take an air compressor and blow all the dust out of them that you can through all the holes. They just get filled up with dust, and then when they get water in them, it turns into mud, and it takes forever to dry and just stays wet. So where these cars rust the most underneath is where this rear beam mounts to the axle right here, which is not bright enough to see, but there's holes everywhere, access holes, so blow everything out that you can and then spray that wax oil in there and just soak it, and that'll keep it from rusting. Then along this pinch weld going into the rocker, or what goes into the rocker, if you look along the bottom and see along the bottom, you will see drain holes along different points. Like there should be one at the back somewhere here and one in the middle, I think, and one at the front. So poke through them with a wire, blow through it with compressed air, and then spray some wax oil up in there through them. There's that plug, that access plug again right there. So I put the car up on jack stands, put cardboard down, sprayed the whole underside, got it all in that frame rail. There's access plugs all over the place on these cars, just like every car. I didn't do a whole lot at the front because I did a little bit on the front cross member where the bolts are, because that's typically what rusts, is the bolts, but anti-seize will take care of that too. Yeah, I think that's about all. The main one is that pinch weld right here. I sprayed against the back of it quite a bit, and where this rear beam mounts to the frame, you got to get a lot in behind there, because these cars and the frame rails rust out from the inside from mud and water staying against the inside of the panels. And for access to the back, you can see these drain holes, sort of. Nope. You want to make sure they stay clear. Blow through them, spray wax oil in there, pull this panel off, and then just coat the whole back with wax oil so it doesn't rust. On the other car I missed it, but there's a hole on all Festivas right there. I plugged mine. I don't know if that's a smart idea or not, but you want a lot of wax oil around this wiper hole because they like to rust there. And I believe that'll be all.